Yes, I'm that girl. I know. You guys tell me. All right. Thank you.
An 18-year-old girl who had just graduated high school and was preparing for college was tragically killed in a shooting that has left an entire community heartbroken. Police say MyaSilvan was found with multiple gunshot wounds after officers responded to reports of a shooting in New Orleans.
She stepped outside for 30 seconds. That's it. 30 seconds to grab something that was already hers. She never made it back inside. And the friend still on the other end of that phone call heard everything. Here's what nobody is talking about. Before the gunshots, before the driveway, before any of this became a news headline, this 18-year-old girl was already having the worst weeks of her life. And the cruelest part? She was supposed to be celebrating. MyaSilvan, Maya to everyone who loved her. Born and raised in New Orleans, the kind of city that either breaks you early or makes you incredibly tough. Maya was the second kind. She had just crossed the finish line at Warren Easton Charter High School, class of 2026. And she had done something a lot of kids in her neighborhood only dream about. She got into Loyola University, college, a full future, hers. And then, her own school took a sledgehammer to the best moment of her life. Here is what happened. In mid-May 2026, school administrators at Warren Easton accused Maya of a test security breach. Now pay close attention here, because the details actually matter. Maya had used her phone during school not to cheat, not to leak anything. She took a screenshot of a social media story posted by another student. That was it, no distribution, no academic fraud, a screenshot of someone's social media post. But other students saw her do it. Her phone got confiscated. And when administrators found the screenshot, they went after her hard. Even after a formal hearing, where an actual NOLA Public Schools hearing officer reviewed the evidence and found no credible grounds for expulsion, Warren Easton's administration still punished her. They banned her from every senior week activity. And then they did the one thing that cuts the deepest for any graduating senior. They told her she could not walk across that stage. No graduation ceremony, no cap and gown moment, no walk, nothing. Think about what that does to an 18-year-old girl who worked her entire high school career for that 1 minute on that stage. Her family was furious. Her advocates called it unjust. And Maya, she had to carry that weight publicly, in her own community during what should have been the happiest weeks of her life. She was already exhausted, already emotionally worn down, already dealing with something most adults wouldn't handle gracefully. And there was still another storm she hadn't fully escaped yet. A person from her recent past who did not accept that she had moved on. Here is what I want you to hold on to as we go deeper into this story. One question that I want you to keep in the back of your mind the entire time you're watching. How does someone who just got into college, who just survived an unfair fight with her own school, who was doing everything right, end up shot 20 times in her own driveway? Stay with me, because it gets worse before it makes any sense. And stay till the very end. I'm going to share a safety tip that could genuinely protect your life or someone close to you. People in situations exactly like Maya's have survived because someone knew this. Don't skip it. Welcome to True Crime Footprint, where we unveil the darkest mysteries and the most terrifying true crime tales. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new stories. Your support keeps these stories alive. Let me tell you something about Daniel Victor Romero, 20 years old. Slidell, Louisiana, a city sitting just across Lake Pontchartrain from New Orleans, not far geographically, but far enough that you had to make a deliberate choice to cross that lake and show up at someone's house. He made that choice. Romero and Maya had been together, and by all accounts, it wasn't a peaceful relationship. Family members described it to police as tumultuous. That word gets used a lot in police reports, and it can sound clinical, almost boring. But what it actually means in real life is arguments that escalate past normal, tension that never fully cools down, a relationship where one person is always trying to maintain control, and the other person is slowly figuring out they need to leave. Maya figured it out. She ended things, chose herself, closed the door. And here is where forensic psychology gives us something important to understand. The moment a person leaves a controlling relationship is statistically the most dangerous moment of that entire relationship. Not during the arguments, not during the worst fights, after. The rejection triggers something in a controlling person that a healthy person simply doesn't experience. It's not heartbreak, it's a loss of power. And some people cannot process that loss without turning it into violence. Romero had a plan, and on the surface it looked completely reasonable. He would return her iPad, that's it. Simple, harmless, even thoughtful if you didn't know better. But that iPad wasn't a peace offering, it was a key. A reason to force a face-to-face moment with a girl who had already decided she was done. He crossed that lake on a Sunday afternoon, Memorial Day weekend. Maya was home, and she had absolutely no reason to believe 30 seconds in her own driveway would cost her everything. Sunday, May 24th, 2026, 3:35 in the afternoon. Maya was on the phone with a close friend. Just a regular conversation on a holiday weekend. The kind of call you make when you're relaxed, unbothered, just talking. Then Romero pulled up. She told her friend to hold on, stepped outside, walked into her driveway to grab her iPad and send him on his way. 30 seconds, maybe less. That was supposed to be the entire interaction. What her friend heard instead was an argument. Voices escalating, fast, then faster. And before that friend could even process what was happening, gunshots. Not one, not two. A rapid succession of loud, sharp cracks that neighbors up and down Hollygrove Street heard clearly. Between 10 and 20 of them. And after the shots, Maya screaming. Then the line went dead. When NOPD and EMS arrived, they found her in the driveway. Multiple gunshot wounds to her torso and her extremities. She was pronounced dead at the scene. And right there on the ground near her body, the iPad. Exactly where it landed when she fell. It was never about returning her property. It was always about getting her outside. Now here's the part that told investigators everything they needed to know about who they were dealing with. Crime scene technicians recovered 20 spent rifle casings from that driveway and the surrounding yard. Not a handgun, a semi-automatic rifle, 20 rounds fired at one person at close range. Forensic profilers have a term for this. Overkill. And it doesn't just mean excessive force. It means the shooter was in an emotional frenzy. It means this wasn't transactional. It was personal. Deeply, ragefully personal. The volume of rounds fired at close range points to one thing. An offender who wanted to obliterate, not just end. 20 rounds. In a residential neighborhood. With families, children, and neighbors feet away. He didn't care who else could have been hit. The friend on that phone call heard it all. Every shot. And that testimony was going straight into an arrest warrant.
From graduation to a tragedy in just days. 18-year-old Romaya Silvan was killed Sunday in Hollygrove, allegedly by her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old Daniel Victor Romero. Romero was arrested Monday and is now facing second-degree murder. Tuesday, he appeared in court, handcuffed in an orange jumpsuit with his head hung for most of the hearing. His face remained emotionless, even when the judge ordered he be held without bond. According to information read by Judge Juana Lombard in court, 20 bullet casings were found at the crime scene near Hollygrove and Peach Street. According to the judge, Silvan's family told police the two were in a tumultuous relationship and had just broken up. Romero allegedly went over to give Silvan an iPad. Information from the judge indicates the two got in a fight, then gunshots. The iPad was allegedly found at the scene, and Romero's car was allegedly known to be 2 blocks away 5 minutes before a gun was fired. Prosecutors argued the number of bullets was extreme, and there was a danger to the public. They say Romero tried to hide evidence, including the gun. Although the public defender's office argued Romero's not a flight risk and turned himself in, prosecutors say he only turned himself in because his family requested he do so. Judge Lombard said he's a potential risk to witnesses. While Romero sits in jail, a community is grieving. In a statement, Warren Easton confirmed Silvan is a recent graduate, writing in part, quote, "Romaya was a bright, talented young woman with a promising future ahead of her, and her loss is deeply felt throughout our school community."
A neighbor saw the silver Jeep Grand Cherokee pull away from Hollygrove Street fast. Too fast. And that detail cracked the case open almost immediately. Detectives fed the vehicle description directly into the New Orleans Real-Time Crime Center, the city's network of public surveillance cameras and license plate recognition technology. Within hours, they had Romero's Jeep placed in the immediate vicinity of Maya's house in the minutes before the shooting. The camera network didn't lie, didn't hesitate. It just confirmed what investigators already suspected. Romero, meanwhile, was running. He tried to hide the rifle, ditched it somewhere, tried to put distance between himself and what he'd done. But on Monday afternoon, Memorial Day itself, he walked into the NOPD 7th District Station in New Orleans East and surrendered. His own family had urged him to turn himself in. The murder weapon was still missing. Now I promised you a safety tip, and I want to give it to you right here, because it is directly connected to what happened to Maya. and I want it to actually mean something when you hear it. If you or someone you know is leaving a difficult or controlling relationship, never agree to a one-on-one meetup with that person to exchange belongings, especially alone, especially at home. Always use a neutral, public location. Many police departments across the country now officially offer their parking lots for exactly this kind of exchange. Bring someone with you. Tell people where you are going. And if the other person refuses those conditions, that refusal tells you everything you need to know about their intentions. Maya stepped outside alone. She had no reason to think that iPad was anything other than what it looked like. That is exactly what made it so dangerous. Share this with someone you care about, because this tip doesn't make the news, but it saves lives. Tuesday, May 26, 2026. Orleans Parish Criminal District Court. Romero stood before a judge. And for someone who had fired 20 rounds at an 18-year-old girl 2 days earlier, he looked remarkably unbothered. Head down, face blank. Not a flicker of visible emotion during the entire proceeding. His defense argued he wasn't a flight risk. That walking into that police station voluntarily proved he was compliant. That he deserved bond consideration. The prosecution had a different story. They told the court that Romero only surrendered because his family pressured him into it, that he had actively attempted to conceal the murder weapon, which remained unrecovered, that the witness who heard Maya's final moments over that phone call was still out there and at potential risk, and that a man who fires 20 rifle rounds into another human being in a residential neighborhood represents a clear, ongoing danger to the public. The judge agreed. No bond, pretrial detention. Romero currently faces second-degree murder charges in Orleans Parish. And in this parish, under Louisiana law, a second-degree murder conviction carries a mandatory sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. No exceptions, no negotiations. The Orleans Parish DA's office under Jason Williams has made intimate partner violence prosecutions a priority, and they have the record to prove it. Just days before Romero's arraignment, in May 2026, another Orleans Parish second-degree murder case concluded with a life sentence for Francisco Romero, no relation, who killed his sister's boyfriend. Different weapon, same outcome, life, no parole. Daniel Victor Romero is next in that line. MyaSilvan was 18 years old. She had a college acceptance letter, a future that was entirely real and entirely hers. She was fighting an unfair battle with her school and winning it, because the hearing officer had already ruled in her favor. She had done everything right. She just wanted her iPad back. To the Silvan family, there are no words adequate for this kind of loss. Maya deserved to walk across that stage. She deserved her freshman year. She deserved every single thing that was coming to her. This community sees her, and her story will not be forgotten. To everyone who made it to the end, thank you for watching, for your attention, and for joining us on this journey of reflection. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and above all, stay safe. See you on our next video.